Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I want to talk about two issues today, although there are many things that are in the news and worthy of discussion. First of all, Supreme Court ruling on cell phones. Okay, they have ruled that cell phones and the collection of data therefrom must, the police or law enforcement agencies must have a warrant to go through your cell phone. This is a small victory for people against the rapacious maw of government surveillance, but I want to point out something that perhaps some people forget because of the very strong libertarian vocalization on this point when it comes to government spying. Okay, it seems like a no-brainer to some people that the collection of data by the government is in fact an example of government overreach. But in my point of view, this type of activity is not directly attributable to the government, because I ask you, what possible purpose does the government have for the type of material that would be on your cell phone? Unless, of course, you are some sort of anti-government person or terrorist or something of this kind, when we look at it from the point of view of being logical or rational. The actual collection of data, as you can see by the transferring of the material from the possession of the government when it comes to the collection of cell phone data, and the previous massive sweeps of data, has been handed back to the phone companies and is being kept by them. This illustrates a point to me that massive government surveillance is more along the lines of working in tandem and cooperation with corporations in this country, because the corporations are the ones that make the rules. This is what I have been trying to tell you. This is about corporate espionage, and it's also about finding as much about people as you possibly can and handing that material over to private business interests so that they can then data mine and practically tailor everything that is done according to your very smallest whims, desires, and needs, and that sort of thing. Okay, this is a massive collection of information for business interests for the primary purpose. That's the primary purpose of it, because the federal government is not working for the federal government. It's not working for the people. It's working for the motherfucking multinational corporations, banks, and the people with money. And the only way that people can continue to make money in this country is if they can continue to appeal to every possible thing that people hold important or desirable within their lives. And the only way they can do that is to data mine you extensively so that they can find the smallest little thing that you might want to have so that they can take advantage of it, take your money, rip you off, and let us all be the level of poor fucking serfs in the new feudalism. So yes, this is a small victory, but it's probably just a crumb being handed to us, because they already have pretty much all the information that they need. So why do they need to collect any more? They already know what websites you visit. They already know all of your contacts. They already know all the people you call, all the people you text. They already know the things you look up on the internet. They already know all of your interests. They already know all your pastimes. They already know all your smallest little things that you find fascinating and stuff that you want to look into. And as I point out again, what use does the government have for this knowledge? The government doesn't have any use for this knowledge unless it pertains to quote-unquote illegal activities or quote-unquote terrorist activities, which is all just the front for massive data collection for the ultra-rich corporate multinational companies that are going to put that to use, data mining, to custom create ways to rip you off of your fucking money and keep you in the serfdom in which you will soon become accustomed. Okay, so I just wanted to point out to you that the massive collection of government data is not something that you should per se be of this libertarian mindset that the government is the evil end result of all this, and this is where we need to focus our horrible ire for the massive invasion of privacy that we're having. Yes, they are the mechanism by which this is done, but they are not the ones who are deciding what to do or calling the shots. Okay? You know, look at it as a battle. You know, if you have a general in the back somewhere who's telling his foot soldiers to go forward and attack, and you happen to kill one of those foot soldiers, you've done nothing to stop the battle. You've done nothing to stop the war. You've done nothing to prevent the future invasion. You've done nothing, really, except to stop one foot soldier in this thing. Okay? It's not the brains behind the outfit. You've not taken out the command and control function. Okay? The only way to have any control over the federal government and to put the brakes on this type of activity is to get the multinationals, the money, the super elite influence out of the government. This is what I've been trying to say forever, and nobody seems to understand what I'm trying to get across to you, okay? Yes, the government panders to the people who put the money and the big interests into them, okay? The ones that are pouring money into the pockets of those people who are elected to political position. If that money is gone, if that influence is gone, if you direct your ire and your angst and your anger against the people who are running the fucking government, perhaps something will be fucking done. You cannot keep going on about, oh, it's this agency and it's that agency and it's the terrible federal government, because nothing will be done. No one's going to listen to you, and nothing's going to change, because those same people who run the fucking show are going to be behind the scenes shoveling money at it, and it's going to continue to fucking happen. The only way to end the war against our privacy is to go against the corporations and the fucking money. That's it. Because that's where all of this information is going. Now, there is another aspect to this in the global scheme of things, you understand. Because this is about global corporate espionage, since we live in a global environment as well. So yes, we do give a lot of this information to companies in other countries, and we do spy on the people and businesses in other countries to give the biggest money groups in this country, the ones that pay the politicians the most, inside information on new products and development. In other words, corporate espionage. So they pay for what they get, and they get pretty good fucking service from the government in this country. The businesses that pour the money into the politicians in this country. Okay? They get corporate espionage, and they get consumer deep data mining, so that they can pluck the last few dollars out of our pockets by giving us what we want. Okay? The only way to address that issue is to attack the money and the people that are controlling the mechanism of the federal government. Attacking the federal government is going to do you absolutely no good. Period. That's really the way it boils down. Okay? Now, here's another example in a slightly different vein of that story. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen another example of a terrible SWAT raid gone wrong, where there was a SWAT raid on a family's home looking for a young man supposedly in possession of drugs. Threw a flashbang grenade into a room, it went into a baby's crib, and blew a hole in the chest of a young boy, okay, who is still in the hospital. Probably going to be suffering brain damage, and hopefully he's going to recover. And I think it would be wise if we all sent some positive energy and some health and healing to them in their time of very terrible, awful thoughts that they must be going through right now. So, another example of quote-unquote government overreach. Well, maybe not. Because in a recent row that has happened in Massachusetts, the American Civil Liberties Union has requested information from Massachusetts government on SWAT team operations, and lo and behold, the SWAT team has come out and said, we don't have to give you any information because we're private companies. We're private companies. We're immune from government open records laws and from Freedom of Information Act laws. Interesting quandary here. So, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that slowly SWAT teams and other organizations associated with law enforcement have incorporated themselves, or have slowly been incorporated into private entities. And that the people that are working for them are in fact employees of that private enterprise, even though they are ostensibly agents of the state. This is the privatization of the police force. Now, it may well turn out that if the ACLU continues this challenge in court, that this may in fact be overturned or in some way changed. But until then, let's look at it from this way. So who are the people who are conducting the SWAT raids? They're private entities. They're private entities. They're not the government at all. This is the future of law enforcement in this country. So it's going to boil down to your local law enforcement agencies, the FBI, SWAT team, all this sort of thing, that they are going to end up being private companies, private enterprises that have absolutely no oversight, that have absolutely no mechanism by which people who are the victims thereof can do anything to protect themselves or to present a case against these organizations, because they have no mechanism by which they can get information or have any oversight of these entities. And I pose it to you that this is the future that is coming to America. The total privatization of law enforcement in this country, so that everybody that you encounter, from your local beat cop to an FBI agent, will eventually be a private employee of a private company that nonetheless operates under the auspices of a government of some kind, whether that be state, local, or federal. Because that's where everything is going, and that's why I try to tell police who are continuously, apparently, going out and shooting people's dogs and, blowing holes in people's chests with flashbang grenades and smashing in the doors of wrong people's homes. If you are not yet a member of a private mercenary force, supposedly like the SWAT teams in Massachusetts, then you need to start exposing your evil brethren, and you need to start doing the right thing. If you fancy yourself a good cop who is out there to do law enforcement or to be a policing organization. Because this is the future, and that's the future of where you're going to be. And need I remind you that the good things that your law enforcement unions have negotiated for you by way of benefits and pensions and all that sort of thing, which I think is great, as long as you're a good cop and as long as you're doing the right thing, you should get exactly what you have negotiated for. But that's all going to go by the wayside. You all become corporate employees. You're not going to have the pensions you had before. They're all going to be taken from you. Your wages are going to be greatly reduced, and you're going to end up being basically a Walmart police force. So you people need to wake up more than anybody else, I think. Law enforcement people need to wake up to the reality of what the future is for yourself. So you realize that as you continue to do the work of corporations through the mechanism of the bureaucracy that you work for, eventually you're going to lose everything that you think you have as you become the new Walmart police force in this country. So think about that. 2 examples right there where supposed law enforcement and supposed privacy rights are in fact intertwined with corporate demands, corporate wishes, corporate money, and corporate power. These are the things that are running the government of this country. And I look back on those two idiots, that Jared Miller and his wife, Amanda, I think her name was, the start of a revolution. My fucking ass, the start of a fucking revolution. You cannot attack the power of the government when the power of the government is being wielded by a totally different force. You have to go over the nerve center. What is the first thing that was attacked in Iraq in the first Gulf War? They took out all of the radar, all of the intelligence gathering, blah, 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 which is the nerve center, the people that run the show, the people that call the shots, the people that move the divisions, the people that tell the soldiers what to do. You take that out. That's why the only effective strategy now is to go after the big money, to go after the elites, to make them the target of your protests. Libertarians, you are dead wrong when it comes to deciding what is the most evil thing in this country. It's not the government, because the government has been hijacked. It's been hijacked. And even as I have seen many libertarians who, on their own, when I talk to them about this, will agree that corporations run the government, but at the same time, cognitive dissonantly, they will hold the view that the government has to be the thing that they have to smash. No! Remove the politicians' money. Remove the corporate influence from government. Remove the corporatization of the government. Take that influence out of there. And the only thing protecting those people and keeping them in their petty positions of power is to do the will of the people, which is what they are supposed to do. So when you attack the money going into the government, you therefore force the government, by virtue of the fact that there is no one else to pander to because no money's coming their way. The only thing keeping them in their job at that point in time is to do the will of the people and to run this country. That's why attacking the government is not going to solve anything except to get you swatted, flash bang, a hole in your fucking chest, and you thrown into a dungeon somewhere. So, that's my message for today. Thank you. Good day.